Hey y'all, Phil here with High Tech Legion, taking a look at a new power supply. Now, typically with power supplies, there's really only so much to talk about. You have how many watts does it provide? Is it modular? What's the 80 plus rating? How big is the fan on the power supply? But this guy has three interesting features for us to talk about. This is from Enermax, the Revolution XT. This model happens to be 430 watts, which pretty reasonable. And the three interesting features we'll talk about when I do the unboxing. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Get this guy out of the box. Here we can see the packaging for the Revolution XT. The 430 watt here is actually placed on with a sticker. Flip over to the back, you can see a specifications chart listing each of the various models for the Revolution series, and also another chart listing which modular cables are included with each model. So I'm guessing the design philosophy for the packaging was one box to rule them all. And if you look at the chart here, you can see that the 430 watt and the 530 watt models do not come with modular GPU power cables. They do come with the native cables, two dual 6+2 pin native cables. So for the additional features, here we can see heat guard, which when you turn the computer off, keeps the power supply fan running to ventilate more air and heat from the system. Twister bearing fan. Now a normal fan uses a ball bearing, which is literally steel balls in oil around your axle in order to keep the fan stable as it spins so you don't have any wobbling. This one replaces that with magnets in order to reduce friction and thus hopefully extend the life of the fan. Then we also have 2013 ERP Lot 6 ready. And to sum this up and keep it simple, basically it means the 5-volt rail is more efficient to use less power. Ideally, you'll use less than half a watt while the computer is on standby. Open it up. We have a nice tote bag, inside which we have a bracket for the power supply cord that comes into the power supply, two Velcro zip ties to help keep cables tidy, and an Enermax sticker, and 4 screws for mounting power supply. We have a little product guide here, which, let's see, looks like it's basically a list of parts and compatibility stuff. Yep. And specifications. Next, we have our modular cables. We have two, let's see, these two cables provide 4 SATA connectors each. This one provides 4 Molex connectors and a floppy disk connector. The power supply itself. So let's take it out. Some nice, tough packaging there. Should be pretty good for transportation. And we have a big bundle of cables here. Let's untwisty them. And let's see, we have a 24-pin connector. So this is a proper 24-pin connector, not a 20+4 connector. So it's 24 all the time. Get that guy out of the way. Next up, we have our 4+4 pin connector to provide extra power to the CPU. These guys do come apart. They're just very well there's a little not sure how well you can see that, but there's little tabs there that you pinch together in order to release these guys. I actually really like that. And here we have dual 6+2 pin for GPUs. Okay, now over here you notice that we have the 3 modular cables plus one for GPU. It looks like they're using the same generic, well, not generic, they're using the same design for the 400, 530, 630, and 730 watt power supplies. They just didn't bother to take it off for whatever reason. I'm assuming that means this is dead and will not provide any power. Next up, we have our external power supply. This one's 120 volts. And the way, then we have, let's see, flip this over. We have our power switch, lots of ventilation, 139 millimeter fan with the twister bearing. And there's the power, so let's show you how this guy works. And the idea here is to minimize the amount of stress which the power cable experiences. So, you would plug this guy in, and then to make sure that you don't have anything too tight, or to make sure that this guy doesn't accidentally get pulled out, you put this on here and clip it in to the little risers. This way, your power cord won't accidentally get popped out. There really isn't a lot to talk about when reviewing a power supply. About the only things to cover are how it looks. This guy looks pretty nice, very clean, interesting finish on it without being gaudy or flashy. How's the cooling? So this one has a very nice large fan. It is quiet and kept the unit nice and cool. There's also how much power is provided. This one, as I said earlier, is 430 watts. And it's semi-modular. So the main components, your motherboard, which is 24-pin here, CPU, which is a 4 plus 4 pin configuration that can be separated, and dual, for your video, dual 6 plus 2 pin connectors. So those are your core components that you pretty much need for almost any system. Those are fixed and permanent. The rest for hard drives, fans, whatever other peripherals you might have inside your computer or other components, optical drive, floppy drive, are all powered via these three black plugs here. And it does come with SATA, SATA power connectors, Molex power connectors, a floppy power connector that plug in through here to give you access for plenty of hard drives and stuff. Again, the red one, however, is only on the higher power models, the 530 watt and the 630 watt models. On this one, it's dead. On those, it would be used for providing additional power to more video cards, such as an SLI or Crossfire configuration. In which case, you really should be having more than 430 watts of power on tap anyway. So once you talk about all that stuff, all that's left is how well does it handle distributing power. And the Revolution XT actually does a very good job. Now, this guy is the 430 watt, but that is how much power it's supposed to deliver to the actual components of the computer. Since this is 80 plus gold rated, at the top end, at 100% load, it should be around 87% efficient. So I loaded the system up to use, measured about 488 watts from the wall, which, when you go through the efficiency calculations, comes out to this guy providing 425 watts to the components of the computer, which is about as close as I want to get to pushing to the 430 watt limit, and it handled it like a charm. All of the voltage rails, 3, 12, and 5, all stayed above their minimum range. They were all good. They started out with a little bit of headroom, and then they dropped down slowly as I loaded up more on the system. None of them dropped below what they should have been. The 3.3 was always at least 3.3 volts, 12 always at least 12 volts, and the 5 volt hit 5 volts, but that was at the it got as low as 5 volts, but that was at the absolute maximum that this power supply could deliver. That was when this guy was pulling 425 watts. When this guy was pulling from the wall 488 watts and providing 425 for the system. So it performed very well. The voltage curves are fairly smooth compared to some other units we've seen in the past from various manufacturers. So this is a very good, stable power supply. It provides lots, sufficient for what you'll need. In fact, in order to hit 430 watts, I had to use 2 video cards. And the only way to do that with the restrictions on here, with only having the dual 6+2 pins, I had to have a Molex adapter to go from one of these plugs here to provide a 12-volt power to the video card, which worked out fine. That's how I actually managed to get this guy up to its top end. So, again, great power supply, works very well, easy to install. The cables are nice and flexible. They're easy to deal with management and hide them. They're pretty good length, no issues. Even had this in a full tower case, so and there were no length issues. So I'm really happy with this power supply, and I'm going to give this guy our High-Tech Legion Editor's Choice. Thanks for watching. I'm Phil with High-Tech Legion, and be sure to check us out on Facebook and Twitter, and subscribe to us here on YouTube. And make sure to stop by and say hi on our forums at www.hightechlegion.com, where you can find all our good reviews. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.